Hey, Upward basketball players, glad you're back for Coach's tip number 2. This is another one that you can do in the house with permission. You can take the ball and you can go around your waist with the ball. Again, you're practicing your ball handling skills, getting comfortable with the ball, and you can go around your waist, you can go around your head, and you can go around your knees. You can also do figure eights around your legs. You can start by doing around one knee and then around the other knee. And then you can do figure eights and start slow and see if you can go faster and faster and faster. And if you get really good, you could try this one. And that's it for Coach tip number 2. Enjoy practicing your ball handling skills. Hey, awesome basketball players. Glad you can join us for our second devotion. So if you remember, the memory verse we're working through is, "But those who trust in the Lord will receive new strength. They will fly as high as eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not grow weak." That's found in the Bible in Isaiah 40, verse 31. So what was that virtue we were learning about last week? Do you remember? If you said perseverance, you're right. We're going to keep talking about perseverance today and the idea that we can choose joy even when life gets hard. We can persevere with joy. And if you want to find a great example of perseverance, you really need to get to know 2 guys named Paul and Silas. So their story is found in the Bible, and we're picking up their story after Jesus had come to earth. He died on a cross, he came back to life, and he went into heaven. And Paul had originally tried to stop people from believing in Jesus. But then Jesus himself spoke to Paul in a blinding light, and Paul saw Jesus and completely changed his ways. He realized that Jesus really was the Son of God, the Savior of the world. So then Paul devoted his whole life to sharing the good news about Jesus with others. He helped start new churches, and he wrote letters to encourage those churches. In fact, we can find a lot of his letters in the Bible. He also went to visit churches so he could see how they were doing. And it was on one of those trips when Paul was traveling with a friend named Silas that something interesting happened. They were followed around by a woman who had a spirit that allowed her to tell the future. Paul commanded the spirit to come out of her, and it did. Except that the woman's masters were not very happy with this, so they took Paul and Silas to the judge and asked them to be punished. Sure enough, the judge agreed and they were thrown into jail. Uh-oh. So, what would you do in that situation? If you had done nothing wrong but helped someone and then got thrown into jail for it? Ugh. Paul and Silas were in a very difficult situation. Around midnight, they were praying and they were singing to God in the middle of the prison. That's what they were doing, singing and praising God. Well, other people in the jail were listening to them too, and they were puzzled at why these 2 men seemed to have joy, even though what they were going through was really awful. Well, it didn't stay that way for long. An earthquake suddenly shook the prison and the doors broke open and the prisoners' chains came loose. Paul and Silas were free, but they chose to stay, which led to the jailer and his whole family believing in Jesus. Now, I don't know if your first instinct is to feel joy when bad things happen. I know that's generally not mine. But it is true that you can choose joy when life gets hard. It's a choice you can make. So instead of focusing on all the things that you can't do, like I can't go to school, I can't play sports, I can't go to Upward basketball, why don't you try focusing on the things that you can do and then give thanks for those things? For example, practicing your basketball tips at home. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.